Star Delta 9. I am making some blackberry jam and I thought I would just bring y'all along with me. It's summertime, right? We can make all kinds of jams and we can put them away and give them to friends for gifts and things like that for the holidays. So I wanted to show you a simple recipe that you can do at home very, very quickly. I have this pot back here where I have sanitized all my jars. Pitch up a little bit. Okay. So I sanitized all my jars here and I have all my utensils. I also sanitized my lids. You don't have to do that anymore with the lids. And I have my warm water going back here because we're going to do a water canning bath and it takes about 6 minutes. And this is for the cherries. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Cheers, everybody. So I have pitted 3 cups of cherries that I picked off the tree. You can buy these in the store already pitted in your frozen department if you don't have a tree or you don't have access to them. Excuse me. You need 5 cups of sugar, 3 cups of pitted cherries, 1 box of Sure Gel, or you can use pectin and just use the box equivalent, and I think the box is 3 ounces. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take these over here to my food processor and I'm going to process these down a little bit before I put them in there. So I'll be right back. Just going to stick them in the food processor here. Oh, they're beautiful. Just beautiful. If you don't want to can, you know, like this, like a water bath, you can just make the jam, but it won't last you as long and you'll have to eat it up quickly. This way you can can yourself about 8 jars and you can give some away to friends, or you can store them in your cellar garage for yourself. Little noise, sorry. Beautiful. The thing I like about the cherry jam is that you can use it for a topping on ice cream. You can use it for all kinds of things, right? So now that I have blended it up in the food processor, I'm just going to stick it in the pan. And you're going to want to keep stirring all the time. I just want to get all that cherry juice out of there because it's so good. Now I'm going to add my 5 cups of sugar into it. And before you leave a comment and ask me, can you make this infused? Yes, you can. If you go under my video playlist, you will see where I infuse sugar and flour. And I teach you how to do it so you have that on hand for yourself. Like I do in a container. And you can make your cookies, your edibles, or whatever. Now you're just going to add this to your pot on a medium-low heat, okay? And you're just going to bring this to a nice boil, but you want to make sure that you keep stirring. because you don't want the sugars to burn. I left some chunky pieces in there because I like to have it sometimes on yogurt. And as it cooks down, I'll smash it a little bit. So I'm gonna put the timer on soon. But now we're just gonna watch this and let it boil. Just rinsing out the food processor. Back here, I have this pot on, okay? And I'm letting it come to a boil, as you can see. And it will hold approximately 6 jars, 7 jars. And I have my jars sterilized. My lids are soaking in warm water here already. I have my tops. So we're gonna let this boil, come to a nice boil, and then we're gonna add the pectin, and we're gonna let it boil 1 more minute, and then we're gonna drop it into those jars, and we're gonna go ahead and put it in the water bath. It's beautiful in the summertime because any of the fruit trees that you have, or any of the fruit that you buy at the grocery store, you know how it goes bad quickly? You can take that fruit, and any of that fruit that you have, you can cut up and do this with, and you end up with 6 to 8 jars of beautiful jam. And you always, always can give those away, and people appreciate that kind of gift much more. See, I left a little chunks in there of some of the black cherries because, you know, some people like a jam and some people like a jelly. And so I just let it do its thing. I'm going to turn it up just a little more. I want this to come to a nice rapid boil. Are you guys having a fabulous day? Cheers, everybody. I couldn't resist, so I thought I might as well show them how to do it. It's super easy. And your friends will love it. And if you want to bump this up, you can get a jalapeno powder. It's in the spice department, and you can put any kind of dry powder you want to kick this up a little bit and add some heat to it. Just add a small amount. It'll dissolve in here very, very quickly when you're doing this boil process, right? And it just takes this jam up to another level. Now I have my pectin here. And this is, remember, just 1 box you can add of the Assure gel, or you can use the equivalent of pectin. I like pectin. If you do this and you're trying it, you might notice sometimes there's a white film that begins to start on the top. It's not going to harm anything. It'll usually sit at the head, you know, right around the 1/4 head space. And if you don't like that, you could peel it off if you wanted once your jams are cool. I don't really have an issue with it, and I never really worry too much about it, so I don't care. So it's just now coming to a boil. And I want this to come to a really rapid boil before I add the pectin. Just want to make sure my sugars and my berries don't burn. You can see it's a beautiful, rich color. When I ate them and tried them off the tree, they tasted just like a purple plum. They were so sweet. So I thought I'm gonna go, there's no way I can eat all these. I still have some left that I have more coming too, because I'm gonna go pick some more because there were so many on the tree. I just didn't have any way to get up on the top of it. So I'm gonna watch my timer here. Just rapid boil, baby. See how it's starting to get a little tiny of that white I told you about? When that's happening, you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Just keep stirring. Just keep stirring. I have my ladle. I have my tool to put my glass jars down in there, and my funnel. And we're going to want to make sure we leave a 1/4 head space on all the jars. That's real important. You're going to make sure you have a clean paper towel for the jars. And not everybody does it. I do it because I'm really anal. I'll take a little bit of 100% alcohol, spray it on my paper towel, and then wipe the jars down. I'm going to keep it away from the flame though, because it's 100% alcohol. Now we're cooking with gasoline. You want it to be just really rapidly boiling. Hello, hello. We're making some blackberry jam. And you know, the hardest part of this recipe, the most time consuming, is going to be pitting the cherries. And now if you don't want to do fresh cherries and pit them, that's perfectly fine. Go to the store, look in your frozen department, and get pitted cherries in the frozen department. Takes 3 cups. 1 box of sure gel, 5 cups of sugar, or 1 box, or actually it's 3 ounces if you want to get technical about it. Pectin is 3 ounces, and so is the sure gel, because that's what the size of the box is. It's 3 ounces, so you just use equivalent if you're using pectin. So see how we're at a nice rapid boil? So we're going to go ahead, just watch it boil a little bit more around here, and then I'm going to add this pectin. I'd like to see a little bit more boiling there. Do y'all make jams or do anything like this with any fruit or extra vegetables or leftovers that you have? Okay, I'm going to pour that in. I'm just going to stir this up for about 1 minute. Just let it go to its boil. That timer didn't go on. How come? Be really careful, you don't want to burn yourself. I'm going to count because my timer didn't go off. You're just going to, once you've added the pectin, you're just going to let it boil for that additional minute. Doesn't have to be real rapid, but as you can see, it's boiling, right? It's about almost a minute. I'm on 25 more seconds. I'm using the camera on the other time. On that. Now it's fucking working. What the hell? Okay. That was a goddamn long second. I'm just going to turn this off here. And see how it has that tiny little white film on the top? If that bothers you, you could take it off. It's not going to hurt you at all, okay? So you get one of these funnels. You can get them at Walmart or you can get them at the 99-cent store. They just have a bigger wide mouth on them and they fit down in your jars. And make sure you run your jars through a stainless steel pot for about 15-20 minutes to sterilize the jars, the lids, and the screw tops. So those have all been sterilized. And I'm going to go ahead and start popping some of this into these jars. It's going to make a heck of a lot more than I have here. I bet you. I bet you. I'm going to put a little more. Because the head space is real important. And you just fill up your jars. You can make them any size you want. It's going to be good. Can hardly wait. I'm going to set these over here because I want to make sure they're 100% filled the way they're supposed to be, and then clean off the tops. Probably don't do that unless your hands are like mine. I'm a nurse and I've always had my hands in hot shit, you know, hot water, sterilizing them or washing them or equipment or something, so be really careful. I might have guessed it right. I might have nailed it. Mama taught me right. My mom was a stickler about wasting, you know. And I'll top off all the head spaces on them, so I'll probably have just about, I would say 6 or 7 jars. So I'll give away a couple for gifts. Oh, I think I fucking nailed it. me get my spatula, because it really is quite a, probably fill up that jar, so. No, I think I'll use this to make sure everybody's head space is. It's okay, I'll use that one for the. I'll put it in my fridge and use it for yogurt, and it still perfectly works fine. I just, to can and teach properly, you need a 1/4 headspace. But sometimes your recipe is not exactly spot on, so you do the best you can. And I pretty much nailed that. So I'm going to take my alcohol and wipe off the edges of those jars. Just going to make sure there's nothing on the edges. Because you could tell when I was pouring, it's easy to do that. Easy to spill something over. And if you give these as gifts, you don't want your fingers touching the tops of their jar, and you want to make it as aseptic as possible for them. It's gonna be beautiful. I've been watching this tarot reader, JDS, and he is so funny, and I have his song in my head, and I cannot seem to get it out. He's so funny. If you guys don't follow him, I'll post a link in the tag section. You guys can go check his channel out. He's a funny guy. And he is a pleasure to watch. So, okay, so now we got all those filled. So we ended up with 6 and almost 7 jars of jam, right? So now I'm going to take my lids that have been sitting. I sterilized these. And I'm just going to pop them on. If I can get them out of there one at a time. I don't have one of those things, that you just touch it and it sticks to your canning top. I don't have that. So I just sterilize the shit out of everything. Everything over here is sterile. I take that as a real important step. I'm going to have to set them sometimes they're stubborn. See, I'm singing like him. I'm singing like him, for Christ's sake. JD, see what you're doing, my friend. See what you're doing, my friend. I absolutely adore your channel, though. All right. Of course. So now this water is boiling, right? So you're gonna just screw these lids on just hand tight, okay? You're not gonna crank them down. Just tight, like that. Hot. When you sterilize your jars, throw your lids and your, screw top lids all in that pot too, and do everything at the same time. See, this can be canned this way. It's okay. It's just, all right, that's for that one. And that Mama didn't use. Okay, so now I'm gonna pop these bad boys in here. And you want the water to be covering the tops of your jars. If you need to add some water to the jar, to the pot, it's okay. You can do that. This is the simplest water bath canning without having a complete canning system. My mother raised me on this kind of water bath canning, and our cellar was never out of vegetables, canned fruit, jams, I mean just shitloads of stuff, right? And the thing about it, it doesn't go bad, it doesn't do anything until you pop the lid. So as you can see, I have the water over the top of the jars, right? So I'm going to grab my lid, and I'm gonna let this boil for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna stop this one. Cancel that. Why is that not working? Ooh, 333. 333 is on the clock, guys. Shizzle. So, what's on my camera? 28, 27. So, 33, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 338. I'm going to take this off. And then all you're going to do is put them back on your little place over here. This one you can always put back in your box. You can buy these at Walmart, any size you want, with the lids already on them, right? So we'll boil this until 3:38, and then we'll take them off, put them here, we'll let them completely cool, and then you have beautiful blackberry jam. Give away as gifts, give them to friends at Christmas time. You can ship them to friends. They ship very beautifully. So if you know anyone that has any like strawberries or fruit trees, like I'm gonna do some apple and some pear, because I found apple and pear trees too. Cherry, apple, and pear I found. And so yesterday I brought home probably, well, this is what's left out of the 3 cups that I pitted, but these are not pitted because I love to eat cherries just whole. So I'm gonna eat these. So I'm gonna pop these back in the fridge. This is a necessity if you're doing water bath canning like this, because those goddamn jars get hot, okay? And then always have your clean paper towel that you can set it on. And you try to keep everything as clean as you can on your, you know. It's a chore, right? So people have asked me, can you infuse your sugar? Yes, you can infuse your sugars, you can infuse your flours. If you look at my playlist, you'll find infused can of flour and sugars, and it teaches you how to do it. Generally, you need to use the 120 Everclear. You have to use the 120 Everclear to do it. And I do my baking, my edibles, and I do jams and all kinds of beautiful things. Cheers. I'm smoking OG. I'm gonna light this, fill it up some more. It's been really hot. The air's on. I'm sorry if you can hear the noise from it. I'm smoking OG. So it's just now really returning to a boil, right? See it? So I'm going to let it go. It's 36. I'm going to let it go a little more. And what'll happen is when you set them here and they cool, OG is nice. Yes, it is. It's very tasty. It's very mellow. I'll set them here and I'll let them completely cool. And the tops, you might hear the tops popping. And that's just when they're cooling. That means that you've properly water bathed your jam. And you have nothing to worry about. You can store them above your refrigerator, in your garage, in your cellar, in a place that's kind of got some regulated temperature. Don't get too hot. But I've even had them in my garage, and it's freaking hot in there, and they do fine. They do fine. You know, that's the Sure Gel. You know, it's super, super easy. People say all the time, I have all this fruit that I buy at the grocery store, and by the time they get it to market, it's so ripe, right? And so when I get it home, I got to eat it all in like 2 days. I can't. And so this is a good way to have it. You can can fruit like this and make it less chunky. I mean, more chunky, and then you have canned fruit, just like you buy canned fruit at the store. Fruit cocktail. You can take cherries, you can take watermelon, you can take cantaloupe, you can take anything that you have in your home. And the springtime and the summertime is really good. And now you're dealing with the whole fruit. These, I'm telling you, when I picked them, I could not resist, and I ate one. They tasted like the sweetest plum I had ever tasted. And I said, these are not regular Bing cherries, these are blackberry cherries. And I knew the difference because my grandfather grew them, and we had raspberries and berries all over the all over the farm, right? So I'm gonna wait till 41 because you can see and you can hear it, it's boiling. So it didn't really start boiling until it got to 36. So you want to make sure it's boiled for 5 minutes. So this recipe will yield you 6 to 8 jars. The recipe is 5 cups of sugar, 3 cups of pitted cherries or any other fruit you want to cut up, 3 cups of it. 1 box of Sure Gel or an equivalent 3 ounces of pectin. You can get pectin like this, right? And you just add 3 ounces. It's a little over 1/4 of a cup. It's super easy. You just put the equivalent amount, and it says right on the measuring cup 3 ounces too. So then you're going to stir it down. When it comes to a rapid boil, add your sugar, and then When it gets to that rapid boil again, then you're gonna add your pectin. If you forget, just come back and watch the video again. It's super easy, super easy. And you can do this. The longest process for me was pitting those damn cherries. It was like, I didn't wear even gloves either, so my fingers didn't get stained, which was really strange because I know that you could do that, right? Get stained. But I was like, this looks like a bloody scene in here. So it took me a minute, and I didn't want to have to push you guys through that process, but I did take pictures of me doing it, so I'll post it somewhere in the community where you guys can see it, or I'll put up another video or something. Can't do I just want to give you guys the recipes so you have them. You want to make sure that you have a big enough pot, right? And that you put it back to a rapid boil, and you don't crank those freaking lids down. You know, canning is supposed to be simple. It's supposed to save us money. And with all the COVID-19 and we don't know what's going on, a simple water bath like this, you can turn this off now. You're gonna let it boil a little more. I'm gonna let this boil 10 minutes, guys, and then I'm gonna let the lid stay on it. And I'm gonna, I'm gonna let that continue to boil. About 3 more minutes, and then I'm gonna leave the lid on it for another 5 minutes with the heat off. And then I'm gonna set my jars over here. So you might have a total of 15 minutes in your water bath. 10 in a rapid boil, and then 5 with the lid on. See how that steam's coming out? And then let it sit there. So we're gonna turn this one off. And we're gonna let it sit for 5 minutes. And then after the 5 minutes, we're gonna put it here. It'll still boil at this point underneath the jars. That's why it's imperative that you have these. And that's it. As your jam cools, it sets up so beautiful. It was already beautiful when I was digging it out of the pot. It was like, oh my God, I want to get a spoon right now. Cheers. Because I take and make a stovetop granola, and then I put this kind of jam on top of it with some pumpkin seeds or some of that granola, and I'll carry it around in a bag like this. I take and put it on apples, I put it on celery, I put it on fruit. It's beautiful on desserts like white cake or pound cake. And then of course, toast and butter and jam. That's always amazing in the morning, or biscuits, right? But this you can just about use on anything. And once they're all cooled, you can screw your lids completely down. If you want to screw them down anymore, you can. I'm thinking of doing the lavender festival. I should probably do some more jams and take the jams with me to the lavender festival and have my booth up. And then people can buy my soaps and lotions and stuff like that, and then they can get some salves. And then maybe I could even throw in some artisan breads. I make the most beautiful artisan breads. Cheers. And they're like, what, $6 in the store? You make them for like pennies on the dollar, right? And you take them to the farmer's market. We have a local farmer's market. It's all local vendors, businesses. And people buy that shit up. And so I thought, well, shit. I could make my 5 loaves, 6 loaves of bread. Maybe 6, 7 jars of jam, and have them just there, I have the little soap shed sign and everything for my vendor's booth. I've had that for a while because I go to vendors. But since COVID, they didn't have any. That's why I have my name on my apron. You kidding? I had them apron made special. I had it made special. See how it's still boiling? That's why you want to make sure you leave the lid on. So we have maybe a couple more minutes. Cheers, everyone. Make sure you leave a 1/4 head space on your jars. It makes 6 to 8. Fuck. I've opened up jars of fruit and jars of jam. At least 6 years old. At least. Maybe even longer. And they were perfect. Perfect. I mean, I have oils up here. I have a hibiscus oil. See all the hibiscus on the bottom? From the plant? But when I shake it, this oil is red. See? And so I enjoy doing the infusion processes. That hibiscus is for my soap. I infused it to make a hibiscus soap. And I like using natural colorants, and so a hibiscus flower is beautiful. I mean, it's kind of a pink, isn't it? It's going to be a beautiful soap. And I have CBD oil up there that I'm gonna infuse, or that's been infused. Doc Wiggler's peach puree CBD. Cheers. I got a big old box today. I was so goddamn excited. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. I spent like $150 on oils and things that I had to throw out because they went rancid. And then they sent me some email saying their regulations had changed on the shipping something. And I ordered it back on June 22nd. So they kept, emailing me because it's New Directions and they're an amazing company, right? And it came today, so I'm excited to dig in there and find all my new oils and all the things that I was able to order. So I got a couple more minutes, guys. What is new with you guys? Are there any canna events going on in your town? This is organic infused sugar. This is infused sugar, organic. So make sure if you're wanting to do that, you go check the recipe out because it's a pretty freaking amazing thing to be able to do. One more minute. JDS has me singing. Ring my bell. Ring my bell. I rang the bell, goddammit. I rang the fucking bell. He is so funny. Go over and check his channel out. JDS Tiro. Go check him out. Cigarette hanging out of his mouth. Free flowing himself. All up in his bitchness. I absolutely adore him. Go check him out, you guys. Leave a comment on it on one of his videos and tell him Star Delta sent me here. He doesn't know who the hell I am. But if you guys, go bombshell his channel, this guy makes $1,000 on a fucking live. I don't know if he just hit the Google algorithm or what, baby, but fuck. That takes skill, right? That takes some fucking skill to pull down $1,000 in an hour live. Wow. And he's worth it. He's worth it. He's worth it. Don't worry about the water on top of the lids. When the jars cool off, you can wipe your jars all down on the outside, right? And you can let all that shit off. This pan I'm not particularly digging. Next time I'll use my other pan. This is really I found this pan at the thrift store, which I thought was pretty cool because it was like it's got all kinds of multiple inserts that go into it, but it's a steamer. It's not really for canning, right? And I have a really big stainless steel pot that I use for water bath canning. See how that foam is on the top? When that cools, that'll turn into like a white gel. And if you don't like that and it bothers you on the top of your jam, you can always take it off. All it is the Sure Gel. Look how beautiful that jam looks. And let them cool completely. And then you can wipe them down. And then you have beautiful jam to give away to friends and to keep for yourself. Don't give it all away so you don't have any for yourself, right? Because people will say, oh my God, that was the best jam. I did pickles one time and I gave all the pickles away and everybody was like, could you make us some more? Those were freaking amazing. I'm like, no, I didn't even have any for myself. So no. See, did you hear it pop? Did you hear it pop? That tells you you did the proper canning, water bath canning. And as they cool, they'll do that. So I'll post the recipe for you guys. Make sure you have the subscription button on. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you are, thank you so much for being here. And if you're not, why the fuck not? Get on over there and subscribe. How you doing? How you doing? I will read the comments when I can see the screen. I thought it was more important for you guys to see the recipe and what I was doing versus seeing me, right? So try this recipe. If you try it, make sure you can use any type of fruit you want. Nectarines, peaches, pears, any apples. You can make any jam that you want. Think of all the jam flavors that are out there. I'll post the recipe and the process of the recipe, and then you can just watch the video and let it walk you through the process. And you can make yourself some jams, and your family will go, what the fuck, man? You can make jam? And they will be loving you for it. And it's an easy, cheap way to use up your fruit that you have that's not going to go to waste, right? Because I don't have deer to put them out for anymore when it goes to waste. And there's watermelon, and this is a beautiful fruit season. So make sure you guys do that. All right? So I will do that. Thank you for sharing the live with me. I will talk to you soon. Namaste.